So Ja Morant was, I think the headline that we had on ESPN.com said "mum" following his suspension when he came back on Monday. Look, the Grizzlies are backing their head coach here. And, one of the things, obviously Tuomas Iisalo got into it with Ja Morant after the game. And, if you're in that locker room, just put yourself in that locker room, right? It's a new coach. I know he's not new to the team, but he's in this job, and you get into a back and forth with the star player and you're saying, how is this going to go? And so the Grizzlies sent a message that they're going to back their coach. And I know that in the modern era, everybody's like, okay, well, is the star player being traded in the next 10 minutes or in the next 20 minutes?
Right.
And we talked about that on the podcast earlier this week. But, Ja is not, at least publicly, reaching out much of a olive branch.
I would say Ja put forth more effort defensively in the second half against the Lakers than he did in extending an olive branch.
Yeah. So I guess to be continued. Is that what you would say? Assess this?
Look, Ja, we've talked a lot about superstar players have the ability to publicly crank up the temperature or turn it down. And the temperature's hot and Ja's like, cool, let it burn. He's going to do this little mopey thing with the media. And look, the other thing I will say with Ja, even if he wanted to turn the temperature down, even if he was making peace with Iisalo, Ja gets in this thing where either you're a cheerleader or you're the enemy. And it's not the media's job to be a cheerleader. He, like Chris Harrington with the Daily Memphian, asked him a very fair question along the lines of what did you think of your effort in the second half against the Lakers? That's not the exact question, but or do you have any regrets? I think something along those lines. And Ja said, "Oh, that's your home run question? Sounds like bait to me." It's essentially saying, Ja, do you want to take any accountability for what led to the confrontation? And Ja's answer in so many words is, no, I don't want to take any accountability. So as long as Ja Morant does not want to take any accountability, you've got issues. There's a fascinating clip, and I mentioned this last podcast. There's a fascinating clip going around. It's called the X's and O's Chat. It's a European-based basketball podcast. And Iisalo did a long sit-down interview with him back in January. Well before he was on the Grizzlies staff, but well before he was the head coach. Remember, that was 9 games left of the regular season. And he talks about he came around to this philosophy of, hey, if a player's being a beep hole, and he didn't beep it, then he's come around to saying, hey, we're going to address that in front of the entire team. It's hurting everybody there. Everybody sees it. Let's address this head on. And he said, as part of this thing, he said, you're hurting all of us. You're not responsible to me. I'm just telling you that this is how the other guys feel about you. So you can go ahead and be a beep hole, okay? But everybody here knows it. If you're fine and you can live with it, then I can live with it as long as you bring the result. But if you don't bring the result, then your ass is cut. Now, that last line might work in the European leagues he was coaching in. That ain't the way the NBA works with the face of the franchise on a maximum contract. But I think it tells you about the way he approaches, dude, you're quiet quitting for the world to see. We're going to talk about this for the whole team to hear.
Well, and until we get some sort of firm resolution, either from, the temperature, as you said, MacMahon, going down and Ja acting normally and not pouting, which I would say his behavior after the game Monday was more pouting, then this is going to remain a story. And again, not to completely rehash our conversation from the other day, but Ja Morant might be a superstar in terms of shoe sales and in terms of public perception. He's not a superstar on the court anymore. And so, again, the idea of even deciding to trade Ja Morant and what that would look like, it is not going to be the Desmond Bane return. if they do decide to do it, which is a whole nother level of complication to this situation and why it's probably going to remain something that is hovering in the background unless there's a change in status all the way until the trade deadline in February.
Yeah, I will say the quote that sort of got the most attention, even though it was pretty short, he was asked if he has his usual joy of playing basketball, which is evident that it's not the case because of his body language and everything. But he said no. And, the thing that I was thinking about is I don't think he's had the Ja Morant joy of playing basketball since he was at that club outside Denver 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
Because if you look at since then, if you want to say we're fine in the West.
I mean, you could say I was going to say that's to me the moment from that quote until now. What has happened in Memphis? There's been hardly any good the whole time.
I mean, I don't have to go over the whole thing.
No, you don't need to.
Suspensions.
And and even like just in terms of because Ja, I mean, he used to just be as electric as any player in the league in terms of obviously the game, but the personality. And that's Memphis fell in love with those two things.
That's why Nike gave him the signature shoe, which even came out today, right?
No, there's an Air Force One that came out today. It's the Let Ja Be Ja Air Force Ones, which I thought was interesting timing.
Was that a real thing, or is that a joke?
No, it was a real thing. I've sent it
but
to
like
you.
That wasn't like.
No, it's not. They didn't.
That wasn't
make the
like
shoes.
That was planned for like months, right? Like it didn't. It's just. Let Ja be like that's not like a reaction.
No, it's not I assume no. I don't think they're releasing a Air Force One edition just specifically because of this. No, I think it's
okay. I'm not a sneakerhead, so I
think it's a complete coincidence. But like last year, remember when he came through Dallas, and I was asking he had a breakaway and he did like a little, as he called it, like a little rim grazer. And then he was basically like, man, I don't even want to dunk anymore. There's a lot of things.
That lasted for like 3 days, but
but look at his dunk numbers and look at it. And on a related note, look at his finishing in the rim numbers. And for that, what? That's not about a system. That's about he kept getting hurt with these, high flying acrobatics in traffic, and he felt like he wasn't getting called. So like Ja's got a lot of things that in his mind are robbing him of joy. It's been, I mean, specifically the refs. It's been, sanctions from the league. It's been friction with coaching in terms of system, or now I guess it's this substitution pattern that he's worked up about. The media is out to get him in his mind a lot of times. Like it's just like, dude, the just pure bliss that he used to have on a basketball court is gone. And it's not like he's not fun to it's not like it used to be so much fun to watch him. It's not fun anymore.
Feels like the end of Derrick Rose in Chicago. That's what it feels like in many different ways.